Hi, Kozai family, friends of the family, and other people who are here for this really wonderful event. Thank you so much for making time to do this. I know everyone is exceptionally busy, and it's a tough time for a lot of people, and making time for an event like this makes all the difference. My name is Nick Vitanza. I'm a pediatric neuro-oncologist at Seattle Children's, which means that I take care of children with brain and spinal cord tumors. And specifically, I run a lab that's focused on diffuse intrinsic Pontine glioma, or DIPG, and I also run clinical trials using targeted immunotherapies, which I'll talk about briefly. But unfortunately, tumors like DIPG, which is a fatal tumor of the brain stem, a critical portion between the brain and the spinal cord that can't be totally resected, and the only treatment that is known to improve outcomes is radiation, which can extend survival by a few months, but still children with DIPG only live for 11 months, and the tumor is 100% fatal. Because this is affecting kids who are usually like 6 or 7, this means just this one tumor is responsible for 25,000 years of life lost every year just in the United States. So there are entire generations of families that are forever affected by this, and children who will never get to grow up and have families of their own. The government and other sources of funding like grants do their best to work on this, but this isn't lung cancer, it's not prostate cancer, it's not other cancers which are extremely important but affect more people in our society. And so funding is small. Only about 4% of National Institute health dollars go to childhood cancer. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of burden that's placed on families who have already been through so much. To continue to fundraise, to continue to advocate. Those of us in the research community do our best, but it's really events like this that make up critical funding gaps that let us do the work that we want to do. And just a few years ago, when I first met the Kozai family, Seattle Children's didn't have a dedicated DIPG research program. We didn't have dedicated immunotherapy trials. And one of the things we talked about was that there's this particular type of immunotherapy called CAR T cells, where you take out some of the patient's white blood cells, not an amount that they'll miss, and not an amount that makes them immunocompromised. And we bring them to the lab and we genetically engineer them to have a new receptor that can fight their tumor. And then we give them back their own new white blood cells to fight their cancer. And this treatment has been incredibly successful for leukemia with a 93% remission rate in kids with recurrent leukemia. What I did when I came here 6 years ago and first worked with the Kozai family is to develop this for pediatric brain tumors. And we had to develop a whole new system where we give CAR T cells directly into the brains of children. We do this in our clinic as an outpatient procedure the vast majority of the time to make sure we're ensuring quality of life as much as possible. And since the goal of building this program, and since the beginning of our partnership, we've now opened 4 clinical trials where we're using CAR T cells for children with brain and spinal cord tumors. 2 of those trials have an arm that's dedicated to children with DIPG. We've enrolled 80 children so far across our trials, and we've now given 450 intracranial CAR T cell doses, including 150 just to children with DIPG, making us the biggest program in the country and probably the biggest program in the world so far at developing these targeted immunotherapies for children with brain tumors. We're just at the foundation of what we can do, and we're starting to show that it's safe. We're starting to show that some kids are having really good responses to treatment and doing much better than we would otherwise expect. We're sharing this progress nationally and internationally, helping other teams build their own programs, learn from what we've gone through, whether it's Colorado or St. Jude or London or Australia. We're enthusiastically trying to work as a community to make more options available for our children. But all of these things are very expensive, and all of these things require these philanthropic support that the Kozai family and others have been so generous for. And I just want you to know that the money that you put in, the time that you put in, even if it's just the advocacy or the presence of sharing this moment with these families, this makes all the difference in us being able to get our work done. And I just want to say thank you so much for spending this time with the family. Thank you so much for coming to this event. Thank you so much for your support. And on behalf of all of our patients and on behalf of a very, very large team that sometimes I get to be the face of, thank you so very much and hope you have a great rest of the evening.